Welcome to the Snake's Paw. This is Matthew Morris, and this is Basic Pitches. And this is, in fact, our first international basic pitch. We have people broadcasting from opposite sides of the planet this time. So if I sound a little scarce in this one, that's because my internet connection wasn't so great. But if you enjoy what you hear, I encourage you to follow us on our social media at Twitter, The Snake's Paw, or Instagram, also at The Snake's Paw. If you would like to support us, you can donate or have a monthly subscription to our Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/The Snake's Paw. Enjoy the show.
Hey, y'all. We're going to hear a story from a friend of the show. I'm currently visiting him where he lives in Singapore. And so you might hear some background noise that sounds more than usually Singaporean. But this is Tyler. Thanks for joining us, Tyler.
I'm honored to have an opportunity to pitch something that probably will not actually make it on the podcast.
I mean, have you seen what does make it on the podcast?
Yeah, let's...
Lower your expectations.
And we also have Jack and Matthew with us, who are, as usual, in the United States. And so we're talking across great space and time. It is morning in one of these places and evening in the other.
Last night, when I was getting ready to go to bed, my partner was saying, "Are you nervous?" I was like, well, I mean, it's like me chatting with my friends, so not really.
It's friends plus microphones. That's it.
I was like, no. I mean, he's like, well, you should be. It's your first time on a podcast. I'm like, well.
Well, and we should call it your third time, actually, because you're in 2 episodes of Marjorie and Houdini.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not your debut.
Yeah. So quick question just before we get in. How much hate mail do you guys get?
So I think my hate mail is probably not connected to everybody else's. I get a fair amount.
This is terrible. Well, I mean, Jack, you're so charming. Like, how could anyone send you hate mail?
Thank you.
I say all that to say that we'll see how it goes. How did you introduce me? My name to everybody was what?
Tyler.
Okay, great. Yeah, so if this doesn't go well, you can just call me Jose Ferreira. Okay. We had the Christmas episode that I listened to about, what did you say, Andrew? Like, the man in red or whatnot. I was like, oh, great. What if we do a movie? Now, we can figure out kind of the genre that it's in, but here's the premise, essentially. Okay, so we know about Santa at Christmas. There's another story, of course, that's inspired Christmas, which is a very interesting story. And it's about, of course, the Immaculate Conception and the birth of Jesus. And I think I heard something about, well, we know that Mary, at least according to the Bible, was a virgin, and then I think Joseph was too or something. So my thought was, what if there was this other lens that Joseph was gay? And this is like part of the whole story. Like they're in some village and they have to escape to Bethlehem, and like maybe Mary, I don't know if they had arranged marriage. We have to do a lot of like research on this, but what was kind of back then. And so she has to escape because she's gonna, you guys remember like Aladdin? You had the guy with the sword that was trying to get Aladdin when he stole that apple.
1,000 beggars with swords.
That one. So I picture her like having to marry this guy and she doesn't want to. And like Joseph's her best friend, but he's fallen in love with someone and they haven't done anything. But they kiss and they're seen kissing or something, Joseph and this other guy. And like the town's gonna know and they have to escape in the middle of the night. But I think that could get us going. And then my other thought was along this plot line is if there were anyone in the story that Joseph would end up falling for, it has to be one of the wise men. I mean, so what do they bring? Like frankincense, myrrh, and gold? Probably the myrrh guy.
Okay, here's usually where we start throwing in wrenches that make it better. But here's my thought. The wise men who came to visit, during Jesus' birth, I love the idea that it was just, his boyfriend's coming to visit Joseph. And then, like, there's these other wise men who are like, oh, are you one of the wise men as well? And he just has to be like, yeah. Oh, what'd you bring the baby savior? And he's like, actually just brought this gift for his boyfriend. It's, gold. And they're like, we just got, like, smell goods. You got gold?
Oh, yeah, you get frankincense.
So then you get, like, almost a comedy of errors, I guess, where he has to pretend that he's a wise man.
And I feel like you sort of suggested at first, Jack, too, that all 3 of the Magi were, in fact, Joseph's, like, harem.
And then it compounds the lie so much better where all three of them are Joseph's booze, and they get to their.
Yes, okay, hold on. They're all from the past. And now they all end up at this. Yes. Okay,
I like it. They all have to pretend to be wise, but maybe they don't even know each other, and they all.
No, they've shown up to this shindig.
Yo, this is the plot of Mamma Mia.
Yes,
it's the greatest story ever told. I told you that when we watched the musical, okay, and you didn't believe me.
Format-wise, we could do like a Slumdog Millionaire thing almost, where like each wise man comes in, and you have to have the flashback to like how he fits into the story.
Yes.
They all just have a perfect somehow do like a telling the history of Jesus's ancestors. I don't know how to do it. Historically speaking, I'm pretty dumb about this. I do think it's interesting that you keep pointing out that Joseph was a virgin.
I've read that somewhere.
I don't
Wasn't
know
that
if
part of the
that's
story?
in the books of the Bible that I've read. Because if it is, it definitely didn't jump out at me. But
it's not really relevant.
From
it's like the Bible be like, Joseph's a virgin. It's not a miracle that he's a virgin.
In Luke, if I studied Luke way too much because I was in a Bible study class way back in the day. It was a whole thing. Anyway, forget that. But I do know that canonically, is that even the right word? Jesus had brothers and sisters, like half brothers, half sisters. So that would imply, for our story to make sense, that if Mary and Joseph stayed together, then Mary had,
a side thing.
A side thing, yeah. And I want to know who
Other
that person
than God.
is. What's really hilarious to me is that this entire story is just telling the story of, Jesus's earth parents. Jesus is not in this at all. So, like, maybe at the very end, the baby, like, just, God bless us, everyone, or whatever. I guess he'd be too young. But it's kind of like the Passion of the Christ, that, like, the only thing is the last 10 minutes of his life. This is just nothing but the first 10 minutes of his life. We could pitch it as a prequel to Passion of the Christ, which is
what everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah.
Did she? Okay, so like, here's one thing that I'm kind of trying to like work out, and I should just ask it. So, in the context of this story, is
it
Mary,
Immaculate Conception?
Is it, I mean, like, or are we not even going to say? We're going to leave that up for the viewer to kind of make their own decision.
I'd say maintain the ambiguity.
She kind of comes in, she's like, I have a baby that I don't have an explanation that's going to make anyone happy.
I like ambiguity.
But I had quite a dream one night, yeah.
Well, imagine, totally. Maybe it's something she ate. Like, imagine any society in the world where a woman would say, but I didn't do anything, right? And I think Mary is maintaining this, but we don't know. And maybe that's something about her, because she's a complex character in my mind with a really nice eyeliner. And like, maybe you like her and you're on her side, but at the same time, you, in the back of your mind, are always wondering, but girl, how'd you get pregnant?
I say, at the very least, let's just put one of the wise men, just have him just say that real quick. Just like, yeah, but girl, how'd you get pregnant? And then like the other wise men are like, oh, you're not supposed to ask that. She could tell us if she wants to.
But how'd you get pregnant?
But he's the guy who keeps saying what everybody's thinking, and people are like, that's gold.
That's gold. That's gold.
I'm giving you gold here. The least you could do is...
Yeah. And these guys are just pursuing Joseph, and then they all make a pact or an agreement to go around being like, yeah, we just went to visit God's baby.
Yep.
And
maybe it's just one more level of deception that they're forming a whole group of lies here, because someone's like, yeah, what are you three randos doing in this manger? Oh, we're wise men, and we came from afar.
Following a superstar.
There we go.
Well, and I can imagine, too, we have to play with the friendship between Joseph and Mary for this to really work, but that, like, while they're on the donkey, I don't know which would go first, but at some point, Mary would be like, I have something to tell you. And Joseph would be like, I have something to tell you. And
so they've been friends for a long time, right? And it's coincidental that's happening, maybe in like split screen, like on the night where she's like, I've got to get out. And he's like, and they run into each other, I guess in the alley or whatever. And it's like, we have to go. Yes, we have to go. And they leave. I can see that.
I have half of enough money to rent a donkey. I have half enough money to rent a donkey. Let's pool our resources.
At least it won't be a half-assed job.
That's it. Beautiful.
Damn. Wow.
Can I say that
Slow
I think
clap.
the scene is going to be very funny when they're both confessing their secrets, where he's just like, I kissed another man, and she's going to be like, I am carrying the baby of God.
Exactly.
We both have weird things. I guess this is totally
We both
equal.
got problems. But you see this, okay, real quick, I don't know. So I had the chance before Singapore to live in China, and it's a real thing where you have people that identify as, I guess, gay, or they like the same sex, but they are kind of under so much pressure from society and family. Of course, they marry the opposite. And well, in some cases, like both, like the guy is gay and the woman identifies as lesbian, but this is a marriage of convenience, right, for the family. I think at the heart of it, there's humor to it, but it's a warm story about two people going through this together.
So it's not just it's mutual pressure.
Yeah. In my mind at the beginning.
It's an opportunistic marriage on both of their parts. So no one's taking advantage of each other. It's
an arrangement that they're both benefiting from.
Yeah.
I like it.
And beards were very popular in the Middle East around that time.
Okay, question about tonality.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to play this like a Christmas classic that hopefully will get aired on TBS every year? Like we're going to have a song that goes with it?
I like that idea, and I like it being Christmassy meets sort of Middle East. I think that there's a lot of room there to be smart. We don't want to be like, obviously super offensive, like, but you are taking a different spin on something.
I mean, you could also go very Christmas pageant with this.
Mm-hmm.
The acting could be very big. Everybody's draped in, whatever patterned fabric was available at Hobby Lobby. The gold is a styrofoam brick wrapped in gold construction paper.
There's going to be some great musical numbers.
And I'm thinking, and I know we'll get an eye roll from this. I'm thinking, look, if she's up to it, Madonna would be great for doing the soundtrack.
I thought you were going to say Madonna would be great for Mary, and I was ready to say yes.
I believe
get her to play the 15-year-old Virgin Mary.
The name already, so there's that.
Yeah. In terms of casting, I think we have to have historically accurate races here, just so that the people who are going to be offended by this, let's just go all in. Just be like, oh, you know what? Jesus wasn't white.
Yeah, I think this could be a nice period piece. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's really well done. And sort of like a la Chicago. Chicago's kind of in on the joke. It's over the top, but it's very much, and everything's like a postcard when you look at it. I'm still trying to picture the opening credits or the opening scene. I still, it's just what the Joseph, who probably is very hot. I'm saying in this, why he has these guys after him, and I think he might be a virgin, but he's in his little woodworking. You can picture like the drops of sweat
as he lays.
Yes, and he's like, and Joseph is like what, 17 maybe in this, 18, whatever's legal, and. So
we get Michael B. Jordan to play Joseph.
When they're like sanding and you see the drops of sweat, and of course the sand or the dust of the wood kind of has an overlapping where it becomes like the sands of the desert. I really am envisioning this. Okay, yeah.
There's storyboarded.
Well, you would too if you'd seen Joseph.
I wonder, and we could also. I feel like we have multiple options for what to do with the shepherds, where either the shepherds come in and they're the people who everybody has to speak in code around.
Yeah.
Because they're like the mainstream.
I feel like there also needs to be like a black sheep. It's just like symbolic. There has to be like weren't there sheep there too?
Must have been.
In the manger?
There's all kinds of animals hanging out.
I'm sure there are a bunch of animals in there, but like if you have like a black sheep as well, that's Mary's favorite sheep.
There's got to be like a biblical scholar who's listening to our podcast, no doubt, right? Who's just like yelling at it right now, like, "No, actually, this is what happened."
Yes, like every
whoever you are,
detail.
please write us a letter, mail it to
Singapore.
Just Singapore. Just put to Singapore, ATTN
Jose Ferreira, and we will respond in kind.
We've been having fan fiction about the Bible since, have
we?
Not even...
So, you say we as in like humanity has had fan fiction about the Bible? Yes, that's been going since the Bible. Which even...
Oh, that's a good point.
I was reading the other day, don't ask me why, about various heresies throughout like Christendom, that the Catholic Church was like wagging their fingers at people for believing non-doctrinal stuff. One of them is that Jesus didn't have an actual physical body, that he was just like a projection or an illusion and never actually like manifested in like a flesh and blood form.
Tyler Durden Jesus, I love it.
Yeah.
I think Mary would appreciate that when it comes to her figure at the end of the day.
Sure.
She'd much more prefer that.
She's pregnant
Oh yeah,
with
but
a concept.
maybe Jesus, either she's pregnant and like she's had that whole like, I didn't do anything, or maybe they come up with this elaborate lie about why they had to escape and it has something to do with the baby and whatnot, and they're like having to put on this whole pageant, as it were, about her getting pregnant and getting the pillow and all that kind of stuff under whatever they have under her, like, you know, like it's...
The straw, it's a very bristly baby.
Oh my gosh, what if like the whole same intro with Joseph, you know, having to flee because of the whatever happened to him, but what if Mary has to flee for a completely unrelated reason, and the entire Jesus thing...
She stole the donkey?
Maybe she stole a donkey, right. But when they get to wherever they're going and they're like, oh, we really need to convince these people to let us stay there, Mary's like, I got a great idea. Give me that sack of flour. I'm going to pretend to be pregnant. Mm-hmm. And then just one lie compounds with the other, and then it's like, people are being nice to me. They're giving me gold when I pretend to be pregnant. What if I pretended to be pregnant with someone importance, baby? And they're like, all right, who's the most important thing you can think of? How about God? And then Joseph, maybe he's a little drunk. He's like, yeah,
That's it.
We're gonna pull. This is our ticket to the top, Mary. And then maybe they find a little street urchin with a heart of gold. And they're like, you want in on this con with us? You have to pretend to be our child who's actually God. What's your name, kid?
Like,
he's like
6-month-old street urchin.
And they're like, we got this. He's a little pickpocket.
You little pickpocket. God. You'll pick the hearts of the world. Come on.
I'm pretty sure this podcast is going to be declared another heresy by the Catholic Church.
Oh, I hope so. Can you imagine that free publicity? Catholic Church, please write us at Singapore.
Jose Ferreira.
Seriously, if they said yes to the Divine Comedy, this is no more of a broad interpretation than that.
True.
I don't know if they did say yes to the Divine Comedy.
Con family Jesus.
With a heart of gold and pockets full of it too. From other people. All right, so kind of put a bow. Is there any title? So we like Gifts of the Magi.
Brokeback Bethlehem.
Brokeback Bethlehem.
I was trying to think of like a joke with Gift of the Magi. Like
me too. That's where my mind went. I mean, I think we get into a different movie if it's called like The Woodworker or something because he was a carpenter.
I was waiting to see if this was going to be a porn through the early lead up.
But like, I really think this could be a heartwarming Christmas movie.
Today's Basic Pitches is titled Porn or Pageant.
Joseph and the Amazing... I'm trying to think of something.
Technicolor Messiah.
There, that's it.
Wait, what?
Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Messiah.
And then it becomes a disco movie, really.
Mary gives birth to a disco ball.
Dance sequence.
Dance, yeah.
And the credits roll. And then Madonna sings. I really think we have it all together. Yes. I don't know what could go wrong with this.
Gosh. Madonna, if you're listening to this podcast, get your people to contact our people.
It's one of those super productions that just like spirals out of control, and you just got like money going into it, and there's like 8 different plots, and like a street urchin is being crucified, and Joseph is
if this is going to be a feel-good Christmas movie, I think the street urchin needs to probably do that thing where he like
the devils
swaps out with a fake dummy filled with jam, and that's who they actually crucified. And then just the story was wildly exaggerated. And Street Urchin gets to live, and that's how he rises again 3 days later. He's actually just hanging out.
Is a dummy filled with jam one of those things?
I'm not going to imagine. What does that mean?
Story? Am I the only one who knows the dummy filled with jam getting crucified story?
No.
Oh,
I mean, yes, you are.
Maybe.
It's the where's my phone? We'll add a link to this in the description, or just Google "dummy filled with jam getting crucified." It's probably going to be the first story to come up.
Probably.
But
we've made more esoteric references than this in this very episode. So if we're going to be talking about Catholic heresies, then this is fair game.
All right.
I really appreciate us workshopping this idea and helping you guys move further into piles and piles of hate mail that you'll get and infamy.
Yeah, can't wait.
And a lawsuit from Madonna, no less.
Well, I mean, you can't buy that kind of publicity.
Just so everyone knows, we are talking about Madonna, M''Dana, little known Palestinian superstar of the turn of the first millennium.
Friend of Judi Dench.
And hummus connoisseur.
All right. Well, no, I don't think we could make that idea any more perfect than we just did. Unless at the end we give her a
immaculate
friendly dog
indeed, wasn't it?
You've been holding on to that one. Just sitting on it like an egg.
It just came to me, I
He
swear.
just waited for the perfect moment to strike, and he nailed it.
Oh.
Oh, I did not even mean that as a... Well...
Well done, well done.
This has been Basic Pitches. Thank you for listening. See you in 2 weeks.